Hi friends, I am Miss Walker and today we are going to be describing characters, settings, and major events in a story using key details that we read about. And we are going to be doing that by reading The Magician's Hat by Malcolm Mitchell. It's a very fun book, but before we start reading, let's go over some vocabulary. So characters are the people or animals that we read about in our stories. Setting is when and where the story takes place, and major events are the important things that happen in a story that move us along, like beginning, middle, and end. So let's get started. This is The Magician's Hat. Family Fun Day at the library was filled with exciting events. Book scavenger hunts, storytelling, reading rallies. Today, for the first time, a magician arrived with a bag of tricks and a big hat. Everyone gathered around to see the magician perform. He bent a spoon just by looking at it. He made playing cards float in front of his nose. The magician could even make a coin appear from a puppy's ear. When he waved his wand, a banana vanished. This was just the warm-up act. Now the magician was ready to dazzle the crowd with his favorite trick of all. The magician's magic started with a story. When I was a kid, my mom and dad brought me to this library on Family Fun Day. During the book scavenger hunt, I wandered into the reading room. There were hundreds of books. Books about dogs, books about planes, books about the sun, flowers, rain, cities, and circus dancers. Out of all of the hundreds of books, one special book jumped out at me. It was a book about magic. I read and read and read every single word on every single page. I discovered that book wasn't just about magic. I learned that books are magic. Even though I was still in the library, those pages and words took me places I had always dreamed of going. This is how I knew I wanted to become a magician when I grew up. Soon after that, I got my magician's hat. The Family Fun Day crowd had grown. Kids from all over town were eager to see more of the magician's magic. He asked them, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" Amy shouted, "I want to be a dentist." The magician invited Amy to reach inside his hat. Amy dug deep, then deeper, until she felt something. It's a book," Amy shouted. The magician asked, "What is your book about?" "My book's about teeth, cleaning teeth and fixing teeth and x-rays." Right away, like magic, Amy saw herself holding dental tools, a toothbrush, and a rinsing cup. But in the library, where everyone could see, Amy was hugging her book and smiling. Matt had been watching closely. After seeing Amy's magic, he wondered, what else is in that hat? He called out, "I want to be a famous football player." And so, the magician offered Matt his hat. "Let's see what magic you can find inside." Matt reached in, way down. There was something that couldn't fit into just one hand. Matt plunged both hands into the hat and pulled. It's a book about football. It even has my name on it. All at once, like magic, Matt was on the field. Running, tackling, catching, punting, sometimes fumbling, sometimes falling, lots of times winning. Ryan called out from the back of the crowd. Wait a second, this is not magic. Amy's and Matt's parents must have told the magician what they want to be when they grow up. The magician asked Ryan, what do you want to be when you grow up? This was Ryan's chance to prove that the magician was a fake. He snickered and said, a dog. The magician asked Ryan to reach into his magical hat. Ryan said, I can't feel anything. Sometimes you must really reach and stretch for what you want to be. That's part of the magic. Ryan reached deeper and deeper until his fingers grabbed onto something. He clutched a beautiful book that had nothing to do with dogs. Its pages were filled with letters and paintings and photos and foldouts, stars, planets, rocket ships. Ryan had always dreamed of becoming an astronaut and exploring the wide open sky, hurtling into outer space and zooming to a far-off galaxy. Whoa, whispered Ryan. How did you do that? I am not doing anything, the magician said. You are. I am? Asked Ryan. But there's got to be a secret trick in those books. The desires that are within you bring out the magic in these books. Follow your dreams, and they will take you wherever you want to go. The magician turned his hat so everyone can see inside. What are your dreams? That question made all kinds of magic appear. And that is the end of our story, The Magician's Hat. So, take a minute and pause the video to think, who were some of the main characters that we met in our book? Pause now. All right, now if we look back in our text, the first character that we meet is the magician. He was the magician who was performing for the people at Family Fun Day. Our next character that we meet is Amy, the little girl who wanted to be a dentist. After we meet Amy, we then meet Matt, who wanted to be a famous football player. And our final character that we meet is Ryan, who wanted to be an astronaut, but didn't believe in the magician until he showed him the true magic of books. So those were our 4 characters that we talked about in the book. Now let's think about the setting. That's when and where the story takes place. I will give you a moment to think about it, and then we'll discuss when and where the story takes place. The story takes place on Family Fun Day at the library. When would be Family Fun Day, and where would be at the library. And even though the magician's hat and the books that we read about can take us to different places, we never really left the library. It's all part of the magic. And some major events in our story. What were some of the major events that happened? I'll give you time to think about it. It could be when we first meet the magician, when he's putting on his magic show. It could be when the magician first discovered that he wanted to be a magician. It could be when our three little characters, Matt, Amy, and Ryan, finally saw the magic for themselves. Those are important and major events in our story that led the story along. And these key details, like the characters, settings, and major events in the story, can help us retell the story. So if someone was to ask us, what is the Magician's Hat about? We could tell them that there was a magician, who was one of our characters, who came to Family Fun Day, which is our setting, and put on a magic show where he helped kids understand what they wanted to be when they grew up. He showed them the magic of books. And that's how we retell the story, using those key details. I'm so glad you came and joined me today. I hope you enjoyed The Magician's Hat, and I hope you learn more about characters, settings, and major events in a story. Thank you, friends. Bye-bye.